All right, ladies, we are live and we are here today with CoSpaces. They are joining us from Germany, so it's evening for them, but surprisingly, same temperature. I don't know, something's going wrong here, Texas, Germany. But we are excited because we have a chance to kind of explore the behind the scenes of CoSpaces. And I know a lot of people that are getting familiar with this tool for their classroom. Just to meet the people or the person behind the account, the Twitter account, connecting with you, and also just kind of hear some of the stuff that's going on with CoSpaces here in the future. So these ladies are awesome, and let me just say, Suzanne has woke up at 3 a.m. and moderated a Twitter chat for us so far, and that has been just incredible. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys, if you want, just explain who you are, what your role is, and maybe you can share what brought you to CoSpaces and what brought you to the company. So I'm going to have you present to everybody.
Okay. My name is Suzanne. I do public relations at CoSpaces, and I'm also in charge of all the social media accounts. So I'm behind Twitter and behind Facebook, and especially via Twitter, I'm in contact with a lot of teachers and see what they do with CoSpaces, which is really cool. Additionally, I also have the blog, which also connects me to teachers because there I sometimes write about projects that teachers do with CoSpaces. Yes, so my background lies in journalism, philosophy, and it's kind of a winding road that brought me to CoSpaces. But finally, it's really nice to be in virtual reality because I was a big Star Trek fan as a kid, and I always wanted to work somewhere where there is a holodeck, and that feels pretty close. I mean, I have a lot of VR headsets on my desk.
Okay, and my name's Manuela. I'm the head of marketing, so I basically am responsible for the communication that we do here, and obviously there's a lot of research involved in that as well, especially because CoSpaces is so new, and a lot of talking to different people and finding out, how CoSpaces is used out there, and speaking to people like you, of course, and just kind of finding out what our users actually need. And my background is in communication and languages. I actually had nothing to do with this kind of technology before, so I was in the medical industry before. Well, at least it was technology. And well, our company didn't start off with CoSpaces also. So when both Suzanne and I started here, there was a completely different product, but based on the same technology. And then we just sort of, it just so happened that CoSpaces became so cool and awesome. But we are very happy about it, and we do see a lot of potential there, and we're super excited about what's next.
All right, so one of the things that I was thinking about is you might have a viewer here, that is wondering, what is CoSpaces? Like, who is this company? What are they talking about? Why would I want to use this in my classroom? What is virtual reality? How does this connect? So I think one of the best parts about looking at CoSpaces is the fact that it's really beyond just that experience of VR. So maybe you can talk about a little bit of background about CoSpaces, and maybe share, like, why is it really becoming something popular in classrooms right now?
Okay, so the background of CoSpaces in terms of how we developed it is actually it's quite funny. So we've been working on this technology for 4 years now. But we started off in a completely different industry. We actually started off in the coaching and therapy industry, where we created a platform, a visual platform, much like CoSpaces today, which allowed clients and therapists to have a space that they could use, especially for remote coaching, to visualize their issues and topics that they were having. And I mean, this product actually still exists, and it's on the market, and people are using it. But as we further developed it, we actually found that, okay, this works with VR and it's very interesting as well. But at the same time, coaches and therapists are probably, let's say, they're not as tech savvy as some other people might be. And we didn't see the traction that we wanted to see. So we didn't see as much as we wanted to. We will probably see it with that product as well. And then, well, funny story actually. So we had some kids who started playing around with this product, even though it was for coaches and therapists, and they really enjoyed it. And I mean, who wouldn't? Because it's colorful. There's lots of objects and characters there. And then we thought, okay, actually, let's try getting kids in the office and see how they work with this. And they loved it. So we gave them a short intro of 5 minutes or something, and then they started playing around with it. I think they were here for 2 hours or something, and they didn't want to leave anymore. And then we thought, okay, well, this is something that we should really look into. And then obviously we did some changes to the product also. We put CoSpaces online and we said, okay, it's out there, it's free, anyone can try it. And then we got all of these signups, especially from schools, from teachers and students.
We were actually not really prepared for that. At some morning we came in and we saw, okay, there were a lot of signups from the same place. And then we discovered it was a school. So it was more that teachers found us.
Yes. And then we were like, poof, okay, this seems to be pretty interesting. Let's look into that as well and talk to these teachers and find out what they love about it. And actually looking back at it, well, it's pretty obvious. We should have thought of it ourselves. But I mean, it's a visual tool. It allows for a lot of creativity. It's super easy in handling it. Plus it's on the browser, so anyone can just easily go into it. Especially kids are so familiar with using computers these days anyway. Plus, there's no other tool that lets you create virtual reality this easily and this quickly also. And I think this is what's so special about it. Because, I mean, obviously, VR and all of that, there is a hype around it, and especially 2016 now, everyone's talking about it. And of course, children also really want to get into it. But we believe that they don't only want to get into it by, downloading apps and then experiencing it and then putting it away, but actually really getting involved with it and creating their own. And this is what we see. They love it.
That's awesome. So as I'm hearing you talk, I'm starting to think like, when they're thinking about virtual reality, I think it seems like the old, like you said, watching TV when we were kids and like, I'm going to go here. Now I'm going to go here. And you're just, you're all of a sudden there, crazy technology that we saw that we don't realize how much virtual reality is coming into the market right now. Even in schools, I mean, we're looking at Google Expeditions really hitting home for a lot of schools and the things that they want to do. What makes CoSpaces really different, do you think, that's attracting schools rather than just the tools that are out there right now? What do you think CoSpaces brings to the table that makes them different?
Well, like I said before, I think the fact that, first of all, it's so easy to use and that you can create on your own. I think this is very special. And let's look at it from the VR perspective. Obviously, there are a lot of very cool VR apps out there and VR experiences that you can do. I mean, I don't know how many apps are free and downloadable right now, but I think at some point you get to this level where you say, okay, well, I've experienced the roller coaster and I've experienced this and what's next? And then, okay, you have a choice. You can either buy a more expensive VR device, which you then would probably use at home or something, because I doubt that there are many schools who would really buy those for their students. Or you can say, okay, let's tackle this from a completely different perspective. Let's create it ourselves. And then this brings in so many other factors as well. So the whole creativity and motivation to actually create something. And then actually, as you combine it, so creating something on your own and then being able to become a part of it, so to actually go into this world and experience it, not by looking at it from the outside and saying, well, look, I created this nice looking poster or something, but actually going into it. I think this is what's so special about it, and we haven't actually seen anything out there yet that allows kids to do it so quickly and so easily. And well, the last thing is it's just really fun. I mean, we've seen kids and teachers are sending us videos of how their students are using it, and it just, you can see it, that they're really engaged with it. And if a teacher writes to us that he's never seen this much engagement in his vocabulary Spanish class, then this is pretty special, because vocabulary is really, really boring.
Yeah, this is what I hear from a lot of teachers that I talk to, that they say the engagement really makes a difference.
You know, what's interesting about that is I go into the space and I'm like, it's blank, you know, I can do anything. And then I get stuck, you know, I just feel like, well, what do I add? I guess I can add this. Like, my spaces stink, I'm not gonna lie. I look at these kids, I'm like, they're genius. Like, my spaces super, super boring. I try to think about like the interaction. I want something moving. I want the, you know, the animated objects in there. But it's, when you look at these student spaces, I mean, I don't think there's teachers out there that can duplicate that, because we're so conditioned to have a starting point and to build from it. And I think that's what I love about CoSpaces, is they've taken this space and it's designed for the kids to show us what they can do that we can't. I feel like, you know, there's a very select few people that could really run and be creative in the way that this can function. But our kids that are learning their creativity right now, learning how amazing that they are, they get a chance to do that. And that's just the coolest thing. So I love watching the student stuff, because it inspires me on what can I do with the space so that I can share it with teachers. Because I show teachers my space and they're like, so you want me to do this? Why? But then you show them a student space and they're like, yeah, I'm in. This is great. You know? So, you know, I think that that's really important to kind of, you know, understand as far as classroom teachers go. It's really difficult for us to give kids blank slates. And the older that they get, the more difficult it is for them to know what to do with these blank slates. But I love the fact that there's some basic stuff that you can throw in there. You can create really horrible spaces, or you can create something great, you know, but it's within those constraints, you're really free to create anything. I love the geometric shapes that you can go in and do. So I'm hoping that you guys can then share with us some spaces that we can go and be a part of. Are you guys ready to do that?
Yes, definitely.
All right, so I'll have you screen share and then we'll go into your space.
Okay. So then we're going to show you basically how you can use CoSpaces. We prepared a little bit in CoSpaces already. I just wanted to say again, it's also one of those things that I love about my job, that I get to see all the students' creations, because they create so great stuff. But I also have to say that the teachers often choose really great topics and give the students the chance to create those really cool things. There's one teacher who let his students build sustainable eco-cities in CoSpaces, and they are so great and so funny. Okay, but different topic. So what we are sharing here now is actually already inside a CoSpaces project. We can also show you, this is the CoSpaces website. And there we have a little login and a little sign up button. And from there you can go into the browser app. So you have a dashboard. You see I already have some projects here. And now we're going to show you what it looks like in this project. So you see there's a stage in the middle, and we can turn it in any direction that we want to. And we actually also have some examples of things that we built. For example, this is a storytelling example where we recreated Hansel and Gretel and the gingerbread house, Ella. built that. She's very proud of it, right?
Yes, I am very proud of it because I'm also not super creative. But when I got into this, and I don't know how many hours I spent creating this gingerbread house, but I mean, you can see it, like there's cookies, there's gingerbread, there's actual chocolate, there's a chocolate lake. It was very fun creating this, and I mean, probably kids would get even more creative, but I really like to go in here, especially when I'm hungry, to you know, to make me even hungrier.
Didn't you bring yourself some chocolate before the interview?
I already ate it.
Okay, this is an example that I built.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I call it a model to make it sound more scientific. So this is Starship Enterprise. Since you talked about the geometrical shape, so this is something where I've worked with that. I actually haven't looked at it in virtual reality yet. I should do that at some point. Or here we have a fantasy world. So just to give you some ideas about the things that you can, but actually, this is also a really nice example. This is a virtual reality exhibition with art from our talented colleague, Elena.
Wow.
So this is also a really nice use case to create these exhibitions. They're pretty easy to make, and you really have the feeling to be inside an exhibition when you go in there in virtual reality.
Now, was that space built with different walls, or was it just, see, that's the one thing that I would love to have is like either you're outside or you're inside, you know? That way the walls are already there if you want to add different things to the walls. But to me, it's nice to have, you know, the space already designed. Is it already designed, or did you guys build the walls around it?
Here we built the walls ourselves, but we are working on some other environments for CoSpaces. So as you see, this is actually a winter environment. Could you show the background a little bit? And currently in the product that's online right now, we have, I think, 5 different environments that you can choose from, but obviously we're going to add a lot more environments to that. And one of the environments is a room as well.
That's
so
awesome.
We have a cozy room for Christmas, for example.
Oh, yeah.
I already saw it. It looks very nice, very cozy. So this is something that's going to come.
And this example here about the VR exhibition is very interesting for students as well, because if you imagine that, well, most of the students at some point will have to do presentations. And, I mean, I really don't know how it is these days, but I remember that we used to just make posters and, you know, put them up and then cut out pictures and glue them onto the posters and then talk about those pictures on the poster. And this is just a completely different way of showing it also. And you can actually really go in there and you can walk through it and you can see the images in their, you know, real size, as opposed to little cut out images that you would see on a poster, or, well, maybe the more modern version would be a PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah.
Still cut out stuff. We're too old.
Exactly. In both cases, we're still doing that, you know, and it's just kind of crazy to think that we're not really, we shouldn't be satisfied with staying with that same old way. It's not saying we want something, we want to have something in real life, of course, to look at, to touch. That's one thing.
Exactly.
But to have it restricted to just that way and the old way, I think you're bringing up a great point. This is certainly a whole different experience.
Yep. Okay, then let's look at how you actually build something. So we're here from a computer. So when you build something, you would usually do that on a laptop or on a computer in the browser app. We're actually working on making it possible to create something on tablets, but we're not there yet. And the smartphone and the headset is what you're going to need for experiencing your creation in VR later. So Manuela already talked about the different backgrounds. So for example, we have snow and we have just mountains. We can also make it sunny, but here it's dark, so we should make it dark. And as Manuela said, there's also going to be more environments coming. And the next thing is that you start adding your figures, your characters to the scene just by drag and drop. See, we have a library of things, and you can just take something, you can put it to the scene, move it around, make it bigger or smaller. You can also add a weird angle and a weird color. And here we also have the possibility to add some geometrical shapes, and we can use them to build something else. For example, with 3 balls, we could make a snowman. It's maybe not a fully fledged snowman, and it shouldn't be in the desert.
Well, but this is the beauty of virtual reality. For some reason, you know, this snowman managed to survive in the desert.
And palm tree also managed to survive.
Maybe it's salt, you know, maybe it's salt. I don't know.
Yeah, so this is basically how you put things. And of course, if you put more things than a weird snowman and a palm tree, it gets a lot more interesting. Here we already added some things.
We seem to really like chocolate,
yes.
by the way.
Actually, you didn't build this, I built it. So we both like chocolate, yes. So you can not only add objects, but you also have the possibility to add images. For this, you can, now you go here, and then you have an image search, and then we can search for chocolate bar. And you will get a lot of chocolate bars. And now we can, for example, use them to make a chocolate wall around here.
Well, wait a minute. What about copyright? Are these images getting pulled from Google, or are they preloaded from CoSpaces?
These are from Bing.
Okay.
And yes, so let's say like this. As you, the creator, are creating this, obviously you would have to think about copyright for that. But at the same time, this is creative work, so you wouldn't be selling it, or, I mean, you're just creating this on your own. So I personally, I don't see a big problem there, unless you'd be selling it or endorsing it in any way.
So is it filtering your results at all? Like, does it have to be a ping image? Does it have to have transparent background? How does it pull those?
Well, you can look for a transparent background or for a PNG, especially by adding search criteria. But if you're looking for something very specific, it might actually be easier to either already have it and take it, or go to the search engine, because you can also drag and drop images like I'm doing right now into the space.
It's not a 3D object that you're dealing with. You're actually just dealing with an image, correct?
Exactly.
Yes, that's the image of a cookie, but it has a transparent background, and that makes it look like an object.
Awesome.
But this also means that you'd be able to use your own images. So either your personal photos that you can put in there, maybe to make a personalized VR greeting card or something like that, or especially in school. So for specific topics, there might be images that a teacher wants his students to use, and then they can just drag and drop those in there from their desktop.
Okay.
So they'd be able to work with the material that they want to work with.
That's pretty cool.
Okay. Yes. And another possibility, you already see that we have a lot of different spaces in one project here. It's a bit like in a presentation where you also have the different slides. What we can also do is duplicate any of those, and then we can change something but still keep the other one. And this is, for example, a nice way to create a story. If you want to create a virtual reality story that has different scenes, you can build upon the scene that you used before and then just change some things. For example, we could put back those chairs here and pretend, okay, now it's evening, someone cleaned the garden and someone put away that rocket. And he's already in bed.
Shut it off.
Took his pet bunny. So with this feature, you can really create a sequence. And also later in virtual reality, you're able to go from one space of your project to the other without taking the VR glasses off. And yes, one last bit that might be interesting is that we can also add sound. So we can go here and upload music, and then we can play it. And probably it's going to sound awful, but we'll just do it very shortly. Or it doesn't work. Okay, I didn't try the file before. Okay, let's imagine music. I think imagined music would probably sound better anyway than if I play it now. So, and once you have built something, then I think actually it's time to stop screen sharing. Because then these things come in. So you take your phone?
Yes, exactly. I take my phone, so this is a regular smartphone. And I have the CoSpaces app, and then the space that Suzanne was just showing would be on this app. So this is, well, this is a different space, but anyway.
This is our Thanksgiving space.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving. Yesterday. And then I can easily go into VR mode here, which means that it just shows me these two screens side by side, which are well, as if like our eyes. So one sees more to the left, one sees more to the right. I think I'm not a medical doctor, I can't just say so well.
But you have medical experience, didn't
Exactly.
It was about ears, right?
Exactly. And then I could go in here, and well, this is one thing though. I mean, I'm enjoying this space right now, and it looks really cool. And I'm actually in this Thanksgiving space. So this is how fast it goes, by the way. It's unfortunate that we cannot show it right now. And it's one thing that we've seen with kids as well, is that they tend to fight over these things. So sometimes it does make sense to have more than just one. But it just goes to show that they really love it and enjoy it, and you know, everybody wants to have a piece of it.
Mm-hmm. That's so true. That's really cool. Okay. So just thinking ahead, CoSpaces, I just found out this morning, actually myself, that you guys now are opening up an ambassador program. So maybe you could share a little bit about what that looks like for teachers.
Okay. Well, the ambassador program, well, we made it because actually we already had a feeling that we had a couple of ambassadors out there. We just didn't call them ambassadors. So the goal is actually we want to share CoSpaces with everybody, and we understand that we are sitting here in Munich, and while Munich on, let's say, on European maps is quite a lot in the middle, we still can't spread the word everywhere. And at the same time, also, we know that especially currently, teachers are using CoSpaces with their students. So teachers are the pros when it comes to combining CoSpaces and school subjects and using it with their students. And we actually hope that those who share our vision, those who love CoSpaces as much as we do, will just, you know, tell other people about it, and then share their experience with it, with them. And just kind of, you know, give people an introduction to CoSpaces as to how you would use this technology, and then obviously how you would use it in the classroom, maybe for specific subjects, give examples of use cases. And for us, what we actually want to give to them is, well, first of all, we want to exchange with those people very closely. Obviously, we want to learn from them what they think CoSpaces should have next, what their feedback is. I mean, they are using it in classrooms with their students, so they would know best. And we can't do it with everybody, and we don't expect to, but there will be some who are more involved and who want to be more involved, and we want to be more involved with them.
Sounds like a love declaration.
Yes.
Well, I mean, so far I've had wonderful experiences talking to Suzanne and going through everything with CoSpaces. I mean, every question I've ever had has been answered immediately. The connections have been great. I mean, we've been able to collaborate on future ideas, and I'm just so thankful that you guys hear the teachers. And I love that about you, that you guys are actually communicating and taking this advice and bringing it back to the developers. And that part to me is what makes CoSpaces so unique. I'm coming from Atomic Learning, so I've joined the marketing team and have even used CoSpaces within some projects and trying to promote some of the things that are happening at Atomic Learning, and one of those being virtual reality. So I have a series out there. I'm currently working on a new module that will include both AR and VR different pieces, and I'm excited because absolutely CoSpaces is involved in that. When I'm going in, sharing at conferences and presenting this to teachers, I'm always including CoSpaces now that I'm aware and have become aware, just because I think this is the last step. You know, you start off this experience, then you're going through the interactions. You're taking what other people have created. Now I can interact within what other people have created. But that next step, and that great step, is then for our kids to start developing this, start developing their own worlds and their own VR scenes. So I'm super pumped about what you guys are offering to the classroom today. And the fact that it's free right now is fantastic. And I'm really excited. I was joining in their world on a device as well as you guys were going through. So that was really encouraging. But I want to go ahead and screen share a few different resources out there for you if you are interested in incorporating some more AR or VR. So I'm going to screen share briefly here. And all right, here we go. So here I have a Google Cardboard web mix. So initially started off Google Cardboard, has become really so much more, because I think our classrooms are not really set for everybody to use a Google Cardboard, but there's so many possibilities within virtual reality that we could be incorporating right now. These 360 concepts, either images or video, these experiences that our students can certainly have, but then also go into that creation. In addition, I do have the Street View Camera Loan application with Google. So getting a 360 into your classroom, that would be a really cool feature in the future with CoSpaces, to incorporate their own 360s and then layer on top of that. That would be pretty neat. And then in addition, you have a ton of other tools like Nearpod, and just came up with this new public speaking one, which is fantastic. You can go in front of different audiences. So there's a ton of new things out there that are constantly coming out with tools that we actually have right now. In addition, I have an augmented reality web mix that I continue to update and continue to add to, and try to categorize a little bit for it to be specific to content level and even grade level. So looking at what resources are out there, even creation tools. So some AR and VR stuff, but we also have this available. So the AR, VR, and EDU, that concept, I think I initially went into it pretty heavy learning AR. Loved AR, passionate, shared, and then finding out about VR, it's like I went the opposite direction, all VR, all VR. And I think teachers kind of pulled me back and said, hey, we love AR and VR. And I'm like, yeah, me too. So really combining forces there, I think, is important. We have a chat going on, which CoSpaces moderated this past week. And it was great conversations. But every Wednesday evening Central Time, AR, VR, and EDU. You can get to that Twitter. If you're not familiar with how to do that, you can click there and join in on Twitter. And then also getting weekly reminders for that. So in addition, there is a reason why we're doing this, because these ladies asked me the same question. What is the point of this? So I'm going to explain that a little bit. So really building a library. So today's session right now that's happening. So that is available for people to go back and rewatch and learn from. The the VR space that was shared with us today, and all these different spaces of understanding where to grow with CoSpaces, you can go into there. But then other things that have been covered, and other companies that will come in and share some of these features and tools and how to utilize this. I even talked about CoSpaces on my own at one point. So I'm so excited that they're here to give us more insight into what CoSpaces does. Those AR and VR resources are absolutely linked here. And there are certainly more tools out there that will continue to grow and continue to be modified and grow in this space as a resource for educators. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and stop screen sharing here. But with that being said, I definitely want to offer that time every Friday at 1 o'clock at this time. Most schools are in session, so it's hard to join in if you're a teacher. But going back and rewatching and watching this library of resources coming back and bringing this back to your classroom. Again, CoSpaces is fantastic about getting back to you about ideas or things that you might be doing. And I will always get back to you. If you have ideas, please share. Include hashtag ARVR and EDU, and certainly we'll continue to share that out in that community of educators that are excited to start implementing different ideas into their classroom. And I just want to say thank you to both of you today from CoSpaces joining in and sharing from Germany, because I know right now it's 8:36 your time, right?
It's almost bedtime for us.
So they're going to sleep, and they got here first thing in the morning, even though they didn't have to. We're going to go ahead and stop this broadcast, but thank you again, ladies, for joining in and sharing, and I look forward to collaborating with you all in the future.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks
and we
for
look forward to.
All right. Bye-bye.